Asia is not one sound, not one rhythm, not one industry formula. Yet the global music ecosystem keeps replaying the same track again and again. When people talk about Asian music, they often mean a single country, a single system, a single spotlight. Award shows sell out, streaming numbers explode, charts go worldwide, and then, just as quickly, the sound fades. Beyond that spotlight, the volume drops to near silence. Not because talent disappears, not because audiences vanish, but because access is restricted. So here is the difficult question the industry rarely asks. What does it mean when Asia's biggest music stages celebrate only a small slice of Asia? Artists across the continent are no longer waiting to be discovered. They are already trained, prepared, and visible. The infrastructure exists, the fandoms exist, the numbers exist. What lags behind is institutional willingness, the decision to open the door. And this moment matters right now. For more than a decade, the global image of Asian pop music has been shaped by a phenomenon so refined and intentionally constructed that it became the benchmark for international success. K-pop's rise was not accidental, it was engineered. Years of intensive training systems, relentless focus on vocals, choreography, performance discipline, and media literacy. Artists learning multiple languages to communicate with global audiences. Agencies building not just performers, but full-scale brand ecosystems. Fan engagement strategies, narrative-driven content, merchandise, touring, and digital dominance. The result was a powerful fandom engine that transformed every comeback into a worldwide event. Award shows followed, streaming platforms followed, global charts followed, and deservedly so. K-pop earned its position, but an unintended outcome emerged. K-pop slowly became the default label for Asian pop itself. Instead of widening the spotlight, institutions moved with it. Major award shows, including those branded as Pan-Asian, prioritized artists who already matched established global expectations. This was not malicious, it was momentum-driven. But momentum has consequences. When one system comes to represent an entire continent, other music ecosystems are sidelined. Audiences are narrowed, genres remain unseen, cultural diversity is flattened into a single narrative. Understanding this context is essential before asking why P-pop, despite growing streams, sold-out shows, viral performances, and international attention, still struggles for institutional recognition. The Asian Artist Awards position themselves as a celebration of Pan-Asian excellence. The promise is inclusion across borders, languages, and musical styles. But a closer look reveals a gap between intention and execution. Nomination lists remain heavily skewed toward Korean acts. Performance stages repeat the same familiar names year after year. Media coverage concentrates on a narrow circle of stars, while artists from Southeast Asia, South Asia, and other emerging regions remain largely invisible. When an award show labels itself Asian, yet consistently showcases only a fraction of Asia, the message becomes unmistakable. Your stories, your sounds, and your audiences are not being prioritized on the biggest stages. This is not about fan complaints or online outrage. This is about institutional power. Awards do not simply celebrate talent, they legitimize industries. They unlock touring opportunities. They attract sponsorships. They shape global perception and investment flows. When attention tilts overwhelmingly toward one region, it sends an implicit signal that other fast-growing music markets are less important. That contradiction, branding inclusion while practicing narrow representation, creates long-term consequences. This is where P-pop enters the conversation. P-pop is often dismissed as a trend, a derivative movement, or a K-pop offshoot, but the reality is far more intentional and far more strategic. Filipino artists are not chasing viral hits in isolation, they are building an ecosystem. Training systems are localized yet demanding, emphasizing vocal excellence, choreography, stage discipline, and media readiness. Songwriting is multilingual, blending Filipino languages with English and broader Asian influences to reach international audiences. Cultural identity is not erased, it is translated. Live performance sits at the core of P-pop's identity. Unlike acts designed primarily for digital virality, this movement prioritizes stagecraft, real-time audience connection, and full-length concerts that stand confidently alongside global productions. Digital-first fandoms amplify that foundation. Communities on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X are not passive consumers. They mobilize, driving streams, creating content, organizing support, and expanding international visibility. P-pop also resonates powerfully with the Filipino diaspora. It connects identity, representation, and belonging across borders, allowing global listeners to see themselves reflected in the music. Stylistically, P-pop fuses Western pop fluency with distinctly Asian narratives. The result is music that feels accessible yet unmistakably its own. This is not imitation, it is parallel evolution. Where K-pop established a global blueprint, P-pop demonstrates that a different framework, rooted in local culture, global ambition, and fan-powered momentum, can also succeed. Structurally, P-pop is already prepared for platforms like the Asian Artist Awards. Inclusion is not a question of readiness, it is a question of timing. And that timing is now. P-pop is no longer emerging quietly. Its momentum extends far beyond the Philippines. Live performance clips circulate internationally, reaching millions of viewers. Reaction content across YouTube, TikTok, and X shows audiences in Japan, the United States, Europe, and beyond actively discovering Filipino artists. The data supports this shift. Across Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, P-pop releases consistently appear on global charts and trending lists. What has not kept pace is institutional recognition. The Asian Artist Awards, in particular, have been slow to reflect this reality. And recognition is not decorative. Awards formalize success. They strengthen careers. They unlock collaborations. They attract sponsorships. They shape global perception and investment flows. When institutions hesitate at decisive moments, they delay more than applause. They delay opportunity. Overlooking P-pop doesn't merely sideline artists, it risks positioning major awards as disconnected from a rapidly evolving music landscape. Fans, journalists, and industry observers notice these patterns. Silence is not neutral. It reinforces the idea that only certain sounds qualify as Asian pop. Meanwhile, P-pop continues expanding across continents, proving that recognition is overdue. For emerging artists and dedicated audiences, this is not a minor omission. It is a pivotal moment in deciding who gets to shape the future narrative of Asian music. An award is not just a trophy. It represents access, credibility, and influence. A performance slot on the Asian Artist Awards stage sends a clear signal to investors, brands, and collaborators that an act is commercially viable and internationally relevant. Once that signal is sent, media narratives follow, amplifying streams, chart presence, and cultural impact. The ripple effects extend far beyond the ceremony itself. Recognition attracts sponsorships, festival invitations, and cross-border collaborations that might otherwise remain inaccessible. Overlooking P-pop is not simply unfair, it is a missed cultural and economic opportunity. Despite proven demand, P-pop continues to face barriers rooted in visibility, not talent. Ignoring this movement doesn't protect prestige, it threatens it. Asia is no longer a single market narrative. Southeast Asia, South Asia, and the global diaspora are cultural powerhouses, generating music, trends, and fandom movements in real time. Other industries, film, technology, and streaming, embraced multipolar growth early. Music must follow. Monoculture is outdated. A truly pan-Asian awards platform doesn't replace K-pop, it completes the picture.
Imagine a stage where P-pop stands alongside K-pop, J-pop, Bollywood, and rising South Asian acts, not as afterthoughts, but as equals shaping the conversation. That is not dilution. That is leadership. Inclusion is not about tokenism. It requires deliberate, high-quality integration, balanced programming, regional expertise in nomination panels, and decisions guided by data, not inertia. Done right, diversity strengthens excellence. History is unforgiving for institutions that hesitate at decisive moments. Genres once dismissed as niche, jazz, hip-hop, and even K-pop itself, went on to reshape global culture. Those who adapted late were remembered for missing the moment. For the Asian Artist Awards, delaying recognition of P-pop is not neutral. It is a reputational risk.